Former IT administration.
Right? Okay.
We are ready to
We
go.
are ready to go.
In that case, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order and open this meeting of the Architectural Review and Planning Board on Thursday, October 27th, 2022. Renee, please will you take the roll?
Mr. Roach.
Here.
Mrs. Smith. Here. Mr. Green.
Here.
Vice Chairman Doherty.
Here.
Chairman Linder.
Yeah. I hope you've all had a chance to read the meeting minutes from the last meeting of 9/22. Could I get a motion if there are no changes, deferrals, or sorry, edits? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
No?
Mr. Roach.
Here, yes.
Mrs. Smith. Yes. Mr. Green.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doherty.
Yes.
Chairman Linder.
Yes. Are there any additions, withdrawals, deferrals, or arrangements of the general items? Thank you. And you can all see the dates we have for our next 5 meetings. Are there any advance notices of people who can't attend?
I have a question.
Yeah.
We need to move the December 22nd meeting because that's really close to Christmas.
Okay.
As we move to November, we always move that a week ahead, which we've done. Then we move to December. a week ahead.
We have the 15. Okay. It's a record, meeting of December 22nd, will now take place on December 15th. Thank you. We now move to the public hearing part of our meeting, and I'd like to ask for a declaration to start our communication. Thank you. Renee, could you listen to the others, please? Anyone would like to speak?
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Thank you. We now move on to the applications presented to us this morning. First of all, I'd like to ask everyone to address the application for the Reynolds architectural site plan to allow a 232 square foot Gulfstream Bermuda style 1-story backyard bar. Welcome.
Thank you.
Could you?
We ready to go?
Here. Just give me a second.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is William Hoffman. I'm the architect for the cabana for Bill and Diane Jane at 3232 Gulfstream Road. And I'll start my presentation. We have
There it goes.
Location, Lakeview Drive, Palmway, in the Gulfstream Core District. And then we can go to the next one. Front elevation of the home. Is it all right if I talk from this location? Yeah. Okay. Another front of the house. The rear yard, the Janes are on vacation, had all their awnings taken off. One of the things I wanted to point out that my goal anyway for doing any renovation anywhere is, or an addition, is to make it look like it was built with the existing house. So as you'll see later on, you know, the divided pane French doors, and you can't see any here, but the windows are divided panes as well. Another shot of the pool deck, another one. I just want you to take note of the 3 foxtail palms for reference later on. Oh, and can we go back one slide, please, Renee? Yeah, the location of the cabana is going to be right in this area. Thank you. Foxtail palms are referenced previously. And we can go to the next one. Why don't we go to, I think it was survey of the property. The van could be located right here on the southwest corner. Number 10. We'll start off with the rendering. The main structure is 12 by 12. There's an outdoor shower behind the privacy screen and a small bathroom behind that. As you picture, it's a CBS and block structure. CBS and block structure. The doors match exactly to the house. The reclaimed cypress privacy screen, stacked coral anchor column, and the fixtures are cast bronze downlights. And we have copper flashing to match the existing restaurant, existing residence, and also, white cement tile, black tile. And as you can see, the setbacks, rear setback is 15, side setback is 12. It's 15.2 off the rear and 12.2 off the side. Structure is 19 feet 4 inches in length, 12.0 in width. You can see the main space of the cabana, small bathroom, outdoor shower. And these are just straight ahead elevations on all 4 sides. The interior, I don't know if you're interested in that. With colored elevations, without landscape, and with landscape. Technical drawings again, same thing as before, showing the location in the southwest corner of the property.
And these are structural.
Construction documents. The main space is gonna have a vaulted cypress clad ceiling with a soffit around the perimeter with uplighting and downlighting. These are all the technical drawings, plumbing, landscape, electrical, elevations again. These are the construction documents, so it's, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. The 3 existing foxtail palms, one's gonna be relocated here, and the other 2 are going to be located on the other side of the pool deck. That's right here and back. And I believe that will cover the structure. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you. Anything from the board?
Yeah,
Nothing.
I'm just wondering about the coral clad, you said it's a column?
Yeah.
That fit into the other side.
Mhm.
To me, I'm just wondering about how that fits in with, the rest of the house doesn't have anything coral and column like that.
Yeah, for me, it's just architecturally it anchors the structure. The coral is an indigenous material, and I thought it would be a nice add to the projects, and James like it very much as well. So.
Does anybody else see that? I just think that on that one plane, it makes it a lot less traditional.
I speak a lot, but home and the burners used to live, did they have a coral patio?
No, that's an existing, yeah, I'm sorry.
The existing part of the property, is that, do you have a coral as the patio?
No.
But what is the service you recall? I know you weren't hired.
It's,
I was just thinking if it was, it might be, you were saying.
yeah, I mean, it's
outdoor.
it's standard fan laid pavers is the best way I can describe it.
It's not really good.
I mean, if you're looking Like, this is a traditional Gulfstream Bermuda house, so if you feel like it's inconsistent architecturally, then you can suggest a change. Otherwise, you can pass it, but if it is not specifically prohibited, it would just be based on your review and interpretation of the architecture itself.
So Trey, if I think it's inconsistent, the board does it. So, I don't just,
That's correct.
I'm sorry.
I got it, it's about it.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your comment?
My question was, if I don't find the coral column consistent with traditional Gulfstream Bermuda architecture,
Okay,
and the rest of the board is okay with it, how I would proceed?
understood. All right, thank you.
Is there a closer picture of that? I mean, is it smooth or is it?
No, it's
rough?
It's dry stack, it's sort of hard to see in the rendering, but it's dry stack, coral, which means there's no mortar, it's just, stacked up.
And just one question, is the color gonna match the existing color of the house?
Yeah.
This looks a little darker.
Well, it's the rendering, so.
And I know that the proposed structure is totally enclosed.
That it is,
But
other than the outdoor shower.
yeah, no, in terms of
Yeah.
screening, sorry, screening.
Oh, yeah, there is, like hedges running all the way around the perimeter.
Right, I do have to ask, are there any comments from neighbours? In that case,
There is on P3, seems to be a good rendering of what the column looks like in line with the panel. And staff reviewed this, that was something that we noticed, but it didn't jump out as necessarily being prohibited or inconsistent. It was something a little bit different. We usually not a sample or anything more detailed than what's presented, which is, generally sufficient within P3 as far as elevations and aesthetically what it's going to be.
And I mentioned one other thing, just as a point of matter, you see the bronze cast downlights are on that column, it's gonna be a textured element, so it's gonna, the downlighting is really gonna make that pop as the anchor element for the rest of the structure.
My only other concern is what happens down the road if somebody wants to do that in front of, like, you see that all in Delray. It's becoming.
So you're concerned about a precedent?
Yeah.
Yes.
We do have, each application's taken on its own. This is it's not a historic house, but it's an older house. It's very traditional Gulfstream Bermuda. This is a minor accessory structure. It's not visible from the street. The impact is probably going to be minimal. But you're absolutely right. We do have applications that come through, and when they're approved and we have pushback on the staff level in the future with projects that come through, they will point at those projects that maybe the community or the commission has thoughts about. And they'll say, well, that was approved. But, in the end, the staff says, well, we're looking at your application on its own, and it doesn't, we have certain suggestions. So, I would say that the impact is probably minimal. And I don't think the staff would, and Rebecca, I'm trying to get extra addition through Renee. I don't think that you would counsel someone against and maybe even recommend denial if they had a Gulfstream Bermuda with this kind of treatment on the front elevation. Just, it doesn't, again, this is a small part of a minor accessory structure versus an integral part of perhaps street facing.
Right.
So.
So with those caveats of minor accessory structure, it's not structure, sorry, it's not seen. That isn't the excuse for anyone who had that issue before. People said it didn't see, it's a major part of the house, because it's the back of the house and you don't go with that anymore. fact that it's a minor accessory, it's a matter of choice, it isn't prohibited. I think those are the key things that need to be taken into consideration in this instance, because you stated that if a major level 3 application came to us, so for example, brand new property with this as their main facade, we would, assuming we would view that very differently than this minor accessory. Yeah. I'm assuming, I'm not saying what how to go, but I'm assuming. Are there any more points?
So how much of this feature was of importance to the applicant himself?
Well, it's,
Or is it not even,
you mean the family?
no, the little stone?
You know, I don't want to be too esoteric.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes the architects kind of come up with these, and, you know.
Well, it was something that I suggested to them, and when they saw it, they liked it very, very much. The other thing, as a point of matter, is that none of the structure is going to be seen from the street. So I understand the concerns maybe about a precedent, but given the fact that it's completely invisible from the street, I think, you know, for me personally, you know, I don't see what the precedent issue is going to be down the road. I just don't see a precedent with regard, as you said, to the front facade and something buried in the backyard, a totally different ballgame.
Just to address that point again, our precedent, we do take each application in its own merits.
Yes,
So basically, they're discrete applications.
right.
We've addressed very how this stands alone as a minor accessory. And it's minor, if you like.
Right.
But it isn't prohibited because it wouldn't get proven past this point.
Understood.
So with that in mind, are there any more questions? No. In that case, could I call for a motion, please? You want to make it?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve level 2 architectural site plan to the 1-story, 232 square foot backyard cabana to match the existing industrial Bermuda style single.
Second?
I'll second.
Mr. Roach,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith. Yes. Mr. Green,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Dockery,
Yes,
Chairman Murray.
Yes. Thank you, Mr.
thank you very much. And if you'll excuse us, we'll all be traveling north.
And with that, I'd like to move on to the second application before us this morning. The level 3 architectural site plan for 2775 Avenue Soleil, Passage Soleil. And this one, as we know, this application has travelled well. To summarize, it's been for us, it's been for the commission,
Battery.
and
You'll have to do it.
from what I understand, the commission made strong recommendations to address concern. I've spoken with staff, I know that the positive discussions taking place, and what you presented before us is the version. So I think 2 points, whatever. But the fact is, you followed the guidance of the commission, and you've met them as well. And what you presented to us today is your next. Thank you.
I'm Shane Ames, architect, Delray Beach, 203 Dixie Boulevard. There was a major disagreement on the town council. They didn't really like anything to do with the 300 square feet extra. So we have removed that completely from the project, cut the project down in size. The other objection was that it wasn't, it was too modern for its style. So we came back in and put in all of the jewelry, basically, to the building, the outlookers, the awnings. We reduced the size of the windows in the front and jazzed up the landscaping so it looks like actually. And picking all the colors and adjusting everything according to the style. We removed windows and in the rear we had awnings facing the back.
You
Removed some windows on the project. We got less windows in the front. We go to the front slide. The window here on the left. This was a large picture window, which we got rid of and brought that down to
So you replaced with the two.
replace with two smaller windows.
So you,
We did the same thing in the back of the house, creating that same thing, same detail. And generally, we cut, sliced everything and condensed everything back. Front is still the same. We cut smaller, was the extension of the front right in here. Took a slice out of that, so that is that all part of this enters from the backside. And we've been working very diligently with the staff, tailoring it to the left line. Getting it all contemporary, traditional.
I have the before pictures if you guys want to compare. So that I have them, I can just-
wasn't it?
Have you all seen this?
let me,
What is the pitch currently? Roof pitch?
Nicholas, where's the roof pitch?
I thought it was a discussion.
It is a correct.
6 to 12.
6 on top.
It is 6 on 12. Oh, yes.
Yes.
The roof design follows exactly the manual as far as breaking edge, amount of flat area required,
I'm just
having
having a
pop
pop
up
up
dormers.
somewhere in there. I mentioned low pitch of the roof. So.
No, everything, the only section that is 10% flat.
Yeah.
That's the center, but everything is all the way up and down,
Oh, okay.
centered on the center line coming through, all of this. Now, who here has not seen this before?
So let me just jump in real quick. So we have seen this house a number of times. It is very different. Originally, there was a variance for a three-car garage, so the focus was largely on that. Then there was a special exception, and we had 3 members here. I think only 2 members, Mr. Roach and Mr. Green were here during that meeting. So if we can just get, a full presentation, just specific to the architectural style. We don't have a variance, we don't have a special exception, so really we can just focus on the aesthetics of the house and the architectural style.
Yeah, the commission made it very clear they wanted colonial West Indies to focus on that.
Yes, it's colonial West Indies. Yes. And so, we have adjusted all of the light fixtures to be more in keeping with the style and classical feel. Working in all of the outlooker details around the project. The project has which doesn't read on any drawing, any 3D drawing, but there is a courtyard inside of this whole thing, inside of here. It has water elements. We have taken the front door and used to be an all glass door and turned that into a glass top and wood bottom. There's here. These dormers are back on the back wall. It's part of the window below and the dormer above it. And creates areas where the plantings will come up and grow through the roof. And let a lot of light down into the house, but give privacy from the street with the courtyards that are inside. The base house has got a center line that runs right through that is symmetrical, and the roof is symmetrical from that with the extra piece of the garage. It's on a unique lot. It's on the corner, kind of coming into the place also living. And it has a major hedge from that is the city property that starts back here and runs all the way down and wraps around. And then it has these giant trees out there that the city has as well. So there's no view of this as you approach. All this is the existing, and the giant trees are right here.
And one thing that I would point out is the view of this house from the street. As you can see, this is a very deep lot, and most of that floor ratio of square footage is deep and not spread out from the front of the house. So it doesn't appear to be as large as it is. So all that square footage is in the town.
Yes.
We discussed that length at the last meeting, and because one of the things that I said was that I really objected to the extra 300 square feet in light of the fact that it was a 7,200 plus square foot house. But Bob Canfield, who was here then, who happens to live across the street, I didn't know that, and that was his vote, but he said, as you look at it, it is not as obtrusive as you might think from a 7,000 square foot house. And that he, I was prepared to object to that 300 extra square feet. And he said, well, it's really not that big a deal. So that was what changed my mind in the discussion. But I'm glad to see that you did, because we had approved
Correct.
that square footage that the commission then said no to and sent it back here. But I'm glad to see that you did do the changes that you have, I think.
Yeah, it used to be readily available, so I've done about 12 houses in the city over the years. So now that the board and the council sort of says, no, we're not gonna be doing that unless it's doing an addition to an existing house where it's on freestanding, like the last project is a nice example of what a special exception is good for.
Essentially, if you've got the blank slate.
Yeah.
We don't see a point in needing that special exception.
Yeah, the history of the design and how it came about, and why the garage is on the front side. On this particular property, it's not particularly wide, so if we put the garage in the side entry, it puts the garage literally right
Oh.
right in this place right here, so you get a really awkward looking house. And because all of the houses in the neighborhood are one story in this general vicinity, we decided to keep it the one story and just stretch the depth out on the house. So it's all in keeping with the heights of everything that's around it. And then the added dormers give it the interest and give it to the vitality in the center courtyard. So you got the front entrance is right here, and this is all a courtyard inside of there.
And just to repeat the point, this is a signature property because when you're driving across the side, the first property on your left is in turn left.
Yes.
That's it.
And if you go to a little smaller for the site plan, we took into effect that when you drive in here, the hedge goes all the way down, so you don't see the garage, so you pass up into here. There's an existing stop sign right in here. And what we're doing is when they're coming in, they'll be able to swing into this and then go out. That's where the driveway can't be anywhere over here, so it kept it down on Castaway Drive. And it's all very clean, open, free space to look into the property.
And the other nice thing about it is that it's got a very deep setback.
Yeah.
So it's.
That's good.
I also noticed that you've changed your landscaping quite a bit with the two trees in the middle of the driveway and the hedges to sort of soften the left-hand side of the house.
Correct.
Which were not in the original pictures, the original drawings.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think the general, I was kind of shows what the commission wanted. My one concern is it still does have that modern spin on it, in my opinion, because of the bronze windows. And I know we've had this discussion many times about the Gulf Stream windows, the colonial West Indies, proper windows are. I always see the bronze windows as going to be Spanish Mediterranean houses, and true traditional things that fall in that, in this kind of category. The more traditional type of get a lot of ones window. If there's any option to switch that out and have a true field.
I know my client really wants the bronze windows in the back because when you're inside the house, when you're looking out on the bronze window, the frames go away. And all you see is the glass. When it's a white one, they're right in your face on the inside. It's one of the main reasons we do this.
Window frames,
The frame.
Frames, that would be the frames.
I understand, it's just a window usually. And we could also add, did we deny some, for having bronze on the?
Yeah, so obviously we have a lot of different architectural styles that are permitted in town. The two that are heavily regulated are the Gulfstream Bermuda and Spanish Mediterranean. So the Gulfstream Bermuda is prohibited to have bronze window frames. In looking at this issue, because it's come up before, we do have in our multifamily design guidelines, bronze windows are prohibited on all our architectural styles except for Spanish style. So it seems to me that Ms. Smith is correct in sort of looking at bronze windows as disfavored unless you're really looking at a Spanish Mediterranean.
So is it prohibited or disfavored? I don't think we do that anymore.
It is prohibited in the multifamily for everything. It is not addressed specifically in this architectural style because we don't have design guidelines for this specific architectural style. So we have provision in the general architectural style multifamily, but we don't have it in the general architectural style for single family.
So this is just where we decide if we think it fits in with.
That would be correct. Yes.
So I have a question. If you were to change those, what would be your alternatives, perhaps in terms of stuff?
You can get any color you want these days, but generally we use a lot of black windows instead of bronze. The bronze is a nice tone. Now, if it is a lighter color bronze, there's many different variations in that. That could be as an adjustment for sure. They don't have to be completely dark.
To me, that's just what makes gives it the modern stand, black, more modern, you know.
Yeah.
Which is within a traditional, as
Yeah.
the town is trying to stay very traditional. And everything's kind of in the spin of modern.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like half going.
Yeah, you make a good point. It's kind of like a little incremental nudge. And I see, yeah,
Back taking that point to what we've just spoken about, coral, back, minor accessory.
Right, but then.
This is obviously front facing, and this, I know precedents are set, but that's taking the case. However, you could come in and say in the next application, well, the signature property running to pass aside, you've got that. And it's a difficult case for staff to argue, for us to argue, and commissions to argue, so through.
Can I ask one question? So is it relevant when it's facing street and whether we're facing, he mentioned the view from the house. Is there any?
You made a concern, it's the view at the back. You see why. as opposed to
Yes.
the front. Right. It's heresy, but could you go facing with one?
No.
You can't.
That's heresy.
No? No. But I have to mention it.
Yep.
No, I don't. But
So,
could they be done in a tone closer to the outlookers as a wood tone? Or matching the front door? and garage door colors.
Matching the front door, matching the garage. Yeah.
I would too.
Well, we have some options. If I see it, we would recommend this with the provision that if we recommend it, it goes to the commission. And with the renderings we suggest, because no one's going to pass it if we vote against it with the existing.
Yeah, because we can offer alternate rendering colors.
That's the one option. The other option is we have to make a recommendation to the commission to say, this is what we think. And they generally go yes or no. They're not there. They're not there to follow this, the criteria we follow. I know they apply them, but we're the ones who are the ones who make recommendations to say, yeah, that. We have done, correct, we have done taking votes with recommendations, points that have to be addressed before the commission meeting. Done that, might fall under that umbrella. This is a fairly major, where we've done that, it's fairly minor tweaks. This would require, taking this point to the window frames, this would require a rendition. So those are our two options, I think. We either send this back, not send it back, we go down the route to saying, great, and again, repeating Kirsty's point, thank you for doing so much work on this, eliminating the special exception, etc. It's a stunningly looking and designed build.
Yeah.
However,
If you were to, say white would be, we just want to put it through. Make the condition, you make the condition as what color the window frame is, we will accept that and adjust. Yeah.
This is for the shades?
No.
Frames. Yeah, oh, I see. Yeah.
Frames on the window.
just said this.
That would be a dramatic improvement, and I would vote for that. I would like to say no right now, sitting here with the wrong. So that's my.
I agree. So we need a motion that addresses the point of we welcome this, accept it, but in order for it to be, so.
I'll just have a quick question. I mean, so I guess white has several different shades, I think. So I'm not quite sure. Would it be something maybe that would be closer to the color of the building or just
White, beige.
Okay, normally stack it when we get to this out.
Well, I mean, but there's a difference.
Yeah. Stark white, no. Very light beige white is a much better tone. I would go stark white.
Light beige is a very
Could I?
broad thing. I don't know if
Yeah.
It could be brown.
Bring them down.
That's exactly where I was going. If we approve this, sorry, if we recommend it to the commission, it is approved. Great, we have some.
Yeah, we can get a sample.
If you came in with some wall and the frame to what just position is, I think that would give them a benefit of saying.
Yes, I can use one.
Condition.
Can we do it that way?
I mean, you can't, I don't want to speak for the commission, but they do like everything to be thoroughly vetted by the ARPB. So I would, as a general matter, I would suggest that you be comfortable with anything you recommend for approval and see whatever the final product is. Just in general for every project.
As you can see, we're trying to facilitate this as quickly as possible.
Yes.
It is our
Can
job.
we
Yeah.
come in and just look at the colors?
Yeah.
Okay, that works that way.
I mean, we could easily set up another meeting, a special meeting next week or sometime, whatever the schedules are, we would just need three.
To
people.
accommodate.
So, yeah, to accommodate and make
If
sure.
that is the only item we're looking at.
That would be, that would be
We
fine,
could form a meeting,
just, I mean, we have another application we're gonna review, so I don't know, but.
And I agree with our attorney, the commission is looking for something that's pretty much.
it's still.
Yeah, and then we can easily get the samples, sample boards, the actual paint color that we're using, and the window.
Okay, if we go, by the looks of it, we're going to go down that route. But what I suggest is, don't just bring one, bring it.
Yeah, more of the mobiles.
Yeah, because if we turn around and say, well, sorry, this doesn't matter. Please, we want to move this forward,
Yes.
but we have to, as we've said, we have to make it.
Is the house right way?
No.
No, I can't consider.
Yeah.
Is it what?
Right.
It was right way.
So if you can give us the rendition,
Mhm.
color rendering of what wall would be, and your.
Paint samples and everything that
And
goes
the
on.
options for the frames,
Yes.
and you know where we're going in terms of carbon brights, white, shades of white, whatever. Whatever you believe are the right options, and we could then, that would be the only thing we're considering at that meeting. Is that, are we entitled to do that?
Yes.
Right.
You would just need to call a special meeting and with your motion and defer it to a time certain, which would be whenever we have availability for the board. With specific instructions, which you kind of just have.
So could we approve this with the section of the window frames? So it's a very clear focus on what the meeting is.
You would just defer and do the whole thing.
So it's a simple motion that is deferred until the next meeting.
So we made it special.
Yes.
All right, what is the majority that you could be for next week? It's the 31st, 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
And we could do it at 8 o'clock, we could do it at 3 o'clock, I mean, it's what else?
It's up to us. We'll go ahead with it.
I'm traveling until the very end.
Okay. We've still got a call.
We would just need 3, hands, so I'm not sure.
I'm open all week.
I'm here until the 4th.
I believe I've got a weather schedule, but
All right, do you want to do the 1st, Tuesday the 1st at 8 a.m.?
Yes.
Tuesday,
The
8
1st
a.m.
at 8 a.m.
That works.
So that can be the motion to defer to Tuesday.
Okay, so do we have a motion, please, to defer that, this application until,
I'll make a motion to defer this application 22-20 till Tuesday, December.
November.
First.
At 8 a.m.
And that motion would include specific instructions to address the colors of the window frames that were good.
That is correct.
second, please.
Second.
Mr. Rick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Duncan?
Yes.
Chairman Murphy?
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday morning, very early. And we move on to the third application on our agenda today. Next, please. Okay. So, on our third application, we know that this also has been under consideration for a long period of time.
They're all.
The board,
You have the material.
the commission,
We can go through.
and
I'm gonna.
this has been represented to us
Okay.
for our consideration after it
So you want me to
was
just
filed
open all
the
these
last time by the
documents?
commission.
Yeah, just architecture.
So could I ask
Okay.
for a presentation?
Sorry,
No problem.
I apologize.
Take your time.
It was- Yeah, we want to present, again, we're here several months ago.
Thank you.
I'd be happy to fill some time while Mr. Brummer here, so.
Can you set the context, please?
Sure, so the original application requested a number of variances because there is a separate parcel directly south that goes into the cove. So there appears maybe a seawall was constructed, we really don't know, but there was an extra 10 feet. So we are currently involved in annexation of that parcel into the town of Gulfstream, because technically it was in unincorporated area, so it made it very difficult for this project with all that. So
Yeah.
we're processing the annexation. It was approved at first reading by the town commission, so we're processing
Yeah,
this application as if
and there's.
Mr. Bahoda had the land annexed and joined it with the unity of title, and we're really looking at this as just one parcel. As it is.
I'm going.
So this is, I think in the motion, it would be subject to annexation in the unity title being filed before a building permit would be issued, but just for the purposes of reviewing the application, if you're familiar with this project, put that out of your mind. I believe that they're looking for a very small, under 100 square foot special exception for that open air space. So not the full 300 like we get on a lot of these applications. And I think everything else meets, there's no variances for setbacks or anything like that. The pool, Mr. Bahoda wasn't sure what size pool would fit back there. He did not request a variance for the pool either. So we're really just looking at an application that meets the four corners of the code as it relates to the setbacks, the floor area ratio, plus a small special exception. And we're really just reviewing this for architectural style. So with that, I'll give it to Mr.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
That was beautiful. I can go home now. With that help, I'm going to go. So yes, this house was here a few months ago, and if we remember, it's an Anglo-Caribbean house, 2-story, about 2,900 square feet in AC space. It's on the north-south district of Gulfstream. And at that time, like Frank was mentioning, we had the issue that it was 2 parcels. So Mr. Pivota's an attorney that went into the process of annexing that, so Gulfstream is getting bigger with this. And that basically means that we don't have to ask for any variances. That I remember last time we had, issues with the fact that, the house was too big to one of the parcels, but now we're complying with all the FARs, setbacks, and heights, lot coverage, etc. So there's no variances required. It's a house that the renderings, again, it's, a screen and, my screen and this screen and the printing, they're always, color changes, but it's basically the house is going to be an off-white house. It's not a strong white with green shutters and a light gray roof tile. We have smooth stucco with bandings on the first floor and baseboard, and then the second floor is going to be stucco siding, again with bandings around the windows and green shutters.
I see it as a little bit more like a, bluish shutters. I don't know if that's.
Yeah,
It's kind of light colors.
Yeah, it's a light pastel color. One of the, traditional, elements from, for Anglo-Caribbean is to use earth tone, so it's more pastel color. You don't use very strong colors. I think there's another rendering of the front from a different perspective. This is basically to show, because at one point also there was an issue that the house looked like it had a flat roof. Based on the street perspective, so we took it a little bit from top to show all the roof tiles and all the indentation, and keeping, the requirement from the design manuals to have, even eaves, not to have all the clays with high eaves, lower eaves, etc. And shows also the siding on the second floor a little more in detail.
That is siding on the second floor?
Yes.
I have a hard time seeing that.
Yeah, from this point on,
Yeah.
you have siding here. Actually, if you look at the architectural elevation, that's, rendering from the, if you see it in real life, you can see the siding, but on the elevation, you can see the stucco siding. And then has, typical outriggers, freeze board.
What is that space that you're highlighting right there?
This one here?
Yeah, the inside, what is that space?
That is a freeze board right behind the outriggers.
No, the actual space.
No, that is the stair.
Stairwell.
Yes,
Okay.
that is the.
Yeah. I see.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we have the bandings around the windows. We have an additional band here to make the difference in transition from the siding to the stucco. First floor, again, we have also, bandings around the windows, baseboard, And this, of course, has the same outriggers as on the second floor with a 3-story. Now, regarding what Trey was mentioning, as the special exception, we're requesting only 97 square feet. It's like I said, it's only a 2,900 square foot house. So
900.
AC space, yes.
This thing goes 3,400.
That is including the garage and the covered area in the back. That's why it's the livable
Okay,
AC
yeah,
space.
that's
It's only
AC
28.
space. You're
Yeah.
at 2,900
Yeah,
AC.
Yeah.
okay, so
That
that's
is
small.
AC. It's a small house, so.
Yeah, kind of.
And it's,
So can I just want one thing to add? The lot is in sort of a unique spot in Gulfstream as well. I mean, Trey and Greg, I think are very familiar with this, but it's right on the border. It's literally the neighbor to the east is in Delray in a really sort of odd house with a pool right near the road. And
That is actually.
In Gulf, yeah, they're.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah,
To the south is.
well, no,
Only one more. Only that has.
to the south
Yeah.
is borders of across the canal, and all of that is Delray, and there's just like, sort of condo city over there.
Oh,
But the house 998 is in Delray.
No, that's not.
both sides.
Trey is saying.
998 is an extension of Pelican.
Yeah.
And that's in
That's in
Gulfstream.
Yes.
Now, the house directly due south of that.
That one is in there, correct. Well, that is in the map behind the previous house, that's, is in there. Now, and I wanted to point it out that, that special exception in this particular house, this is for, Mr. Pijota said he wants to live there. It's not that we're trying to gain more square footage for resale purpose. It's for him to be able to enjoy the house and live there and bring his family and, so it's for a homeowner, it's not a marketing or more dollar amount at the end of it.
No, just for just reviewing the special exception criteria, when you exceed the permitted FAR by a certain amount, you have to compromise by giving up air conditioned space. So, so you have an extra 96 feet, within your permitted floor area ratio, you have to have a certain amount open as well. That's within your permitted FAR, right? So that cuts into what they're allowed to have enclosed. So it's a sort of a compromise between what the livable air conditioned space and, being in Florida and having an outdoor covered area. So Mr. Barber, could you just real quick, show us where on the plans the covered area is?
Mhm. There's
The enclosed?
The entry is a small covered area, but, Florida, you want to be able to knock the door with some roof. And there's a rendering from the back. We see the loggia there. This one here, this area is the other, covered area. We have a grill on this side, seeing the area from the kitchen right here in the back. So those are the two covered areas that we have in the property.
And just to add to that, I think it only goes out, Richard, correct me, but it only goes from the back of the house towards the canal, like maybe 11 feet or something. It's not like it's a huge, deep area, it's the most we could fit in the lot and try to find a way to make it all work.
The other thing, one of the items that I saw in the guidelines is that, the scale of the house, and we're trying to, as you can see from all four sides, is that we're trying to generate this first floor roof area, and the second floor is setback from the first floor dramatically on the front, on the side, and on the back, to create this more, so it's not a massive, two-story volume that you see there.
I think to put the focus, you obviously, on the application, worked on it, worked at start. The feedback that we got from the commission was minimalistic, modern, doesn't conform with the Anglo Caribbeans. And that's essentially our focus here.
Okay.
See how much work we've done.
Yes, and one of the items, we took into consideration all the recommendations that the commission did, like, all the vertical mullions, adding all the landings, the siding, the outriggers, shutters, creating a different color, so they have a little bit more of a contrast with the building. So it looks more of a, traditional house. So if you want, I have a, list of items that, describe what an Anglo-Caribbean house is, and, we're basically matching all those criteria for an Anglo-Caribbean. In addition, they requested for us to increase the roof slope. So we added, 5 and 12 roof slope on the second floor to increase a little bit more the volume.
It was 4.
It was 4 originally on the second floor. At the first floor, we left it at 4 and 12, mostly because we didn't want to make it look the front of the house so roof heavy and so top heavy. If the board decides that it's, an absolute that we have to have that 5 and 12 on the first floor, we can arrange it, we can adjust it. But we felt that, it was gonna start to look more too top heavy and too close to the street with that massive roof on top. So yes, going back to what the commission, requested, we did implement all of their requirements.
If we go to the back of the house,
Mhm.
can we look at the back of the house?
Sure. Don't do it.
Um,
That will be the back of the house. Again, same criteria, smooth stuff on the first floor with all the bandings and outriggers. And then the second floor, we have all the siding and outriggers, bandings around the windows, etc.
so
Do those windows meet the criteria of,
Right, so I was gonna ask that because we mentioned that at a meeting.
Yeah,
Do you know?
I did the calculation, and on the second flashback, we are at 38% of glass on the first floor, on the rear elevation, that is.
And 50 is our, they're counting at 4.
40.
So 50 per beachfront.
the windows on the first floor still is very minimalist to me. The front, it's less.
Well, the front is vertical.
Yeah.
Vertical in the rear.
The windows on the front windows, because they're all windows except the front door, they have a vertical molding. On the second floor, on the rear, the windows that have vertical molding.
They do. Can
Yeah.
you zoom in there, please?
Is you have that vertical molding on the windows.
Okay.
These are sliding glass doors. So we left it only in this, the glass area is 5.6 square feet each piece of glass. And I think the discouraged one, or the prohibited one is no, you cannot have pieces of glass over 16.
Could you scroll in even more, please?
Fine, I was just saying, and you can make it bigger,
Yeah, there you go. So on the top, I noticed you do have,
that's different from the big window.
Yeah, these are sliding glass doors,
Yes.
that's,
Yeah,
casement windows.
casement.
Mhm.
Okay. And now on the first floor, it's all sliders.
Those are
all.
this is the master bedroom with a sliding glass door, the living area, the dining area.
One of the changes that we've made since we've been, in this
Mr. Bennett,
process.
if you could
Yeah,
keep
you
speaking, I
sign
need
it.
you to go to the
Oh.
microphone. Thank you.
just so you have it on.
One of the, changes that we made at your, recommendation is that the house used to have no mullions. And there was a lot more end of shutters and, it did look a lot more modern. So we tried to, find a way where we could, both be kind of happy. So this was what Richard came up with and we're happy with it, my wife and I. We thought that was a reasonable compromise. But obviously I just wanted to make the point that it's changed a lot since,
Yeah, we
got
absolutely, acknowledge and appreciate the efforts you've made. But we have to take this application on.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh, definitely. It's a little bit to tell the history of it.
So the other comment we would see wasn't about the modern and realistic, it's the, basically, how does it fit into the area? That's the other thing, it's that section, was it 66, 144G, dissimilarity.
Yeah.
And how have we addressed that?
If you don't mind, what I was gonna point out, this house is in the north-south district. That, by definition, the north-south district is more of an eclectic and more of a variety of different architectural styles. And we open the ones that says capture, those are all houses in this area in the north-south district. on this part, we have Spanish style houses, we have, this is actually on the core district, there is it, Anglo-Caribbean on the core district, but,
Don't think that.
no.
Sorry.
Then this is the house right next to us, that is more of a modern type of house. Then we have, this one is more of a traditional Bermuda style house. And next one, we have a British colonial house, that is this one. Then if you go further north, we have this house that is more of a modern house. And the one right next to it on 16, South Harbor, that is the same house.
Oh, sorry.
On the other side.
Sorry.
Is this house here, also a modern version. So we have all these different styles. And then there's another picture. That is also the core district. This house is also outside of house.
That would be in the neighborhood.
So all those houses are.
That's 2 houses away.
Yeah. So we have, 4 or 5 different architectural styles that, yes, we understand the concept of this, but also we have to understand that we are in a district that is more open to a different architectural styles. And the definition actually even called modern, ranch house, no, not modern, contemporary, and houses. And then on the definition, on the table where it calls all the architectural styles, it allows for Anglo-Caribbean. So that's why we want to ask the board to consider this, since it's, and we understand that, the core district, Preso Soleil, those are much more restricted as far as architectural styles. The north-south is a little bit more lenient to explore different architectural styles with everything that the, design manual is giving us. So.
Is that necessarily true? I don't think one district is more lenient than district.
No, so
Part of the description.
he's citing the district description, which was an original survey of the town many years ago before the Gulfstream design manual was even codified. So we're looking a long time ago. And it was a survey of each district and giving them sort of a feel and description. Now, and I'll read from you what he's talking about. The North-South District is characterized by an eclectic yet pleasing mixture of 1- and 2-story Spanish Mediterranean, Gulfstream, Bermuda, contemporary and ranch style home. Now, those homes would not be permitted to be built under the current design manual, but it was just a survey of what existed at the time. So, that's kind of the history, and if we could, look into that, but as far as the application to this specific project, I think that with your dissimilar criteria, you're really looking at the very neighborhood. I think that the section of the code is 250 feet, so you're really just looking at across the street with Tom Murphy's house, and Fernandez's house, which are 2 very traditional style. One's a Spanish Mediterranean, I think the other's a Gulfstream Bermuda. And then maybe even the other house that he showed, which is just north of Mr. Fernandez.
What site can you consider that?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm rushing all sense.
The last house, the one that is north,
That was
it is a traditional site, but it's more of like a neoclassic architectural style. And then we have the modern house right next to us.
well, modern, 1960s. Modern.
Yeah, it's more of a ranch house.
It is.
Yeah. Mhm.
Matter, to make a comment, so, and I mean, the staff understands the description of this neighborhood. But reality is that, most of the houses in this are architectural styles that we would describe as Gulfstream Bermuda or Spanish Mediterranean. And we took pictures of every one of them. And they're all like that, with the exception of the house that's right next to him in our.
And the house is also north of that corner lot, that Spanish colonial.
So
It's like a new classic style. Thank you.
we took a field trip down to the south end of town and we took some pictures and I went through the ARPB land files, and all except for one had applications that identified the architectural style of the house. So if you'll just bear with me as I take you on a virtual field trip. So this is Mr. Tom Murphy's house, 6 Driftwood Landing. It is listed as a Gulfstream Bermuda, very classic architecture with Gulfstream Bermuda. And then I'll just keep going. This is just down the lane, Gulfstream Bermuda as well. This is quasi Bermuda. I don't know, that was just what it's called. Eclectic with Spanish influence with 7 Driftwood Landing. This is the one that was not listed on any kind of ARPB application, but it does have classic Spanish Mediterranean features.
I'd also ask you, as she's showing you these pictures, look at the roof pitch on all of these. They're very much different.
Yeah, the one before actually has a very low.
This is a Georgian. This is relatively new. This was a seaside house built, I think, around 2017, maybe.
So that, you would call that, or they called it, or somebody called that George?
Somebody called this Georgian. Tom Ladani, I'm assuming, called this Georgian.
From 2018.
2018.
That's probably the newest house in the neighborhood, and you notice the roof pitch on that, it's not like it's a, huge pitch, it's.
Another Bermuda style home, classic architectural features, the coins, if you will, right? Columns by the front door. This one's kind of hidden. I don't want to go walking in the front one. Another Gulfstream Bermuda. And then if you come out and we go into Hidden Harbor, this is a Colonial West Indies. And then this is 1224, which is right as you come in, it's the first house on your left. And then this is an this one was called Anglo-Caribbean. This is 1226. So if you come into Hidden Harbor, or you go into Hidden Harbor Estates, you go all the way to the T intersection. This is the house that sits kind of diagonal to you. So right kind of in the middle of that subdivision. So this one, if you, oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, see, I'm having the problem that Renee had. This one has, this Anglo-Caribbean, you can see that it has some very classic features. You've got the Chippendale rails, you've got the wood front door, you've got the very traditional carriage lanterns, so small proportional windows.
So what the staff did when we went back and looked at past applications, like this house that were identified as Anglo-Caribbean. And then we tried to drive through the immediate neighborhood, which is Driftwood Landing, and take pictures of the houses that dominate that neighborhood. And so, and again, if it's described as, allowing contemporary eclectic houses, that's not the way that is.
So there's another PowerPoint presentation. Lolita did us a wonderful favor. She went through our ARPB files for the last 10 years and found Anglo-Caribbean applications. So if you want to walk with me through this one. Now, some of them are not in color because that's a recent requirement for the ARPB applications, but you'll definitely see. This is 588 Banyan. You guys should be very familiar with that house. So, right. Another just, right, the scallop parapet walls, right? This is what we're looking for. This is a Blue Water Cove. This is lot number 2, I believe, which is 2912. No, it's lot 14, which is 2912 Blue Water Cove. So this is over in the new subdivision. Then this one was one of the, I don't want to.
Go back for a little bit?
Sure.
On the rear glass, that's a lot of glass in the center. Just, that's a no.
So they converted one of the houses alongside the tennis courts down at the B&T. This is how their interpretation of Anglo-Caribbean. This is what the finished elevation, front elevation looked like. This is 3133 Polo. This is the one that the driveway is circular drive. Garages are on opposite sides, and there's a big, beautiful ornamental tree in the middle. So this is, I believe this is the Martin, not 12 South Hidden Harbor,
Yeah,
maybe.
this is David, come down to
Right at the end.
Yep.
That's Martin.
12 South Hidden Harbor Drive. You'll notice that a very repeating theme are the chimneys with the chimney caps on a lot of these windows, the shutters that are, right, the small ornamental rounded windows. And then this one is over in Place au Soleil, and it is 2530. This is a relatively new house too. This one was done in 2017 as well. Might have been 2018. Yeah, they all blend together. And this one is 1424 North Ocean. This is in the 1400 block of North Ocean. It's a private street, goes down. This is, well,
Yeah, it's 1400 block.
Yeah.
Just one way in.
and then this one is the 1226 North Ocean. This is the one that I showed you that the actual picture of in Hidden Harbor Estates. So these are what has passed as Anglo-Caribbean in the last decade here.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Would you like to make any comments on
No, I think, some of the houses, we might agree that I like that I would live in them or not, but some of them definitely, they have nice characteristics. And these are from, the entire Gulfstream town, and we do, share some of the characteristics of the Anglo-Caribbean. We do share with some of them also the location as far as we know the north-south district, and that's why I wanted to make a distinction, because I've done houses in, Place au Soleil many years ago with Shane Ames, actually, that was here before. And I have done, other houses on the Court District with Richard Jones. So they're basically different areas that I believe the town is trying to create different atmospheres or environment. So that's why I want to point out the fact that we are in the north-south district and not Place au Soleil or not, the Court District. That being said, I think we do share some characteristics. We do have is a quite traditional house. It does have some elements like roof slopes and things like that that you might consider, you can go steeper, but that is gonna first, the house is a very small house comparing to all these other houses that we looked at. Separate view, we're like a one-story house. So we don't want to overwhelm the house with so much roof. There's one actually that you see that the roof mass is almost as high as the wall height.
Where is that?
One of the PowerPoint presentations, one that has like a roof with a flat, raised
yeah.
top. So we didn't want to get to that, aspect of the ratios on the house.
And you said you changed the pitch on
On the second floor, from
Let me find it.
4 to 5.
yeah.
And your pitch on the first floor.
We kept it at 4 and 12, but if it is, a deal breaker, we're okay. I just have to change my beam height a little bit.
This one?
to
This is the last one that I ended on.
Looking at this, March degree.
Looking at the windows, map and glass and whatever, that
Yeah.
takes it modern to me, especially the back.
Thank you. On the head, you said you incorporated some of the characteristics of Anglo-Caribbean, absolutely.
Yeah.
However, and this is me thinking that, I think putting that next to this application design, next to what we've just seen, to me, there aren't enough characteristics in here. And this is, to me, it still looks a very modern house. It just, it's a beautiful house, but there's two things to look at that we're considering.
Can we open
So,
the,
can I just finish?
Sorry.
There's 2 points we're considering. One is modernistic versus, Anglo-Caribbean.
And the other one is the similarity to properties around. Those are the two things we've been asked to consider in our review of this. Sorry for interrupting.
Perhaps if we, if we can open the architectural drawings and look at the two elevations, because sometimes the renderings against an elevation, you see different details. Like that last house, the one in Harbors, South Harbors, Drive, I think it is.
Yep.
The two-story, that one, the points on the side of the main entrance, that is, those are not typical from Anglo, for an Anglo-Caribbean, those are more British West Indies or Bermuda style.
Correct.
So if we're trying to get to a true Anglo-Caribbean, that house also doesn't match in Anglo-Caribbean style. That like this element.
Yeah.
The other element, for example, and just to, to show that it's hard to get to, or was hard for us to get to a true Anglo-Caribbean is the setbacks that we need to get additional on the second floor. Like here, for example, the second floor doesn't have that extra setback that now we're required to have. Anglo-Caribbeans are pretty much very straight first and second floor, and they have a big, large two-story porch in the front. So we have restrictions from the town as far as roof slope, as far as, additional setbacks and entry feature elevation. So that's why we're trying to, combine all this and maintain as close, and that's why, I said that we're trying to get as close as possible to an Anglo-Caribbean. And when, describing this, for example, this elements like that, these are not typical Anglo-Caribbean, details on the design.
I think they still lean towards traditional. is what my point
I completely agree. That's why it's hard to then say that, oh, this house doesn't, look at all.
And I think that's what we look at. It's more traditional. in the sense of Caribbean, whatever.
I just wanted to also say, I mean, I think Richard touched on this, but part of the context is this is an 11,000 square foot lot. And so we're trying to do the best we can, on a small property. I don't know what size property some of these other houses are in, but we are, constrained in that. I know we bought a lot, but, at the same time, I hope you understand. We're just trying to, find a compromise that's a
Right.
livable situation. That's what we like to get in, you're also happy. I think if you look at the house with the black and white drawing in the same way that we looked at the last one, that she had up as a comparable, that Rebecca had up as a comparable, they're not that different. And, I'm not particularly happy with their renderings. I feel like they make the house look different than what it really is. Like what the last guy presented, and he just showed me like pictures of it that look more realistic. Ours are like, they're sort of looking exaggerated.
Inside.
It's not.
There we go.
When I look at the elements, which I think probably show, come true, show true on the papers, like the glass front door, it's very modern. On the back, those huge windows, just the mountains going this way are much more, much less traditional than what we usually see coming through.
We've been trying very hard to work with you guys on it. I think at one point we had support of this commission 2-1. And we've made a lot of changes, since that time and addressed, I think, like all of the items that were brought to us in the August 12th meeting and followed the recommendations that you guys had at that point or shortly after that told our attorney, hey, we really, Trey and Greg, I had a conversation with you over the phone, where you said, hey, we really got to pursue the annexation first. So that's what we did. And we're trying to find a way to make this all work. We will be great residents. My wife and I want to live here. It is a hot little neighborhood that we're in. There's almost no traffic, almost zero traffic. I'm sure if I ask my neighbors, do you have a problem with this house? Or would you be okay with it? I'm pretty sure, and I don't even know them that well. From the little bit I know them, I'm pretty sure they say, oh, okay, yeah, no, it looks great. But I know that's not your criteria, but I don't think people, would be unhappy with this house. And we put on shutters on it, much more shutters than were in the previous drawing of the house that was approved, or the previous sketch of the house that was approved. And you can see here, I mean, this looks pretty similar to it. You know, it's not, it looks, to me, it looks kind of traditional. So, you know, Georgette, let's talk about that. You know, I want to find a way to work with you where we can also.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be an option, because if with the back is with the vertical mullion, that will definitely make it, you know, look the proportion just like on the windows. That definitely is gonna bring it to a traditional house.
Well, that, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is it.
Because
If that's what it took, you know, I didn't speak to my wife, but she'd probably agree with me. You know, well, if that's what it took to do it, you know, we would do it. She doesn't want to have it, you know, look like you're in prison, you know, put up the back of the house. But that's why she wanted to, you know, was just the horizontal mullions. But, you know, if that's what it took to get your support, you know, we would do it. You know, we want to find a way to do this. You know, we want to get going on this. We want to get down here. You know, I'm about to retire, so I'd love to get building this.
What about shutters on the back of the house? Because you're going to be looking across the waterway.
Across the waterway is just like a myriad of condos. A new one's going up. There's no Gulf Stream there. The back of the house is invisible, just like you guys were talking about, that kind of that hidden shed that, you know, they wanted the coral and some of the other typical things. This is not visible to everyone in Gulf Stream. It really isn't, you know. It might be visible across the water to the condos in Delaware. But there isn't anybody that can see this in Gulf Stream.
Well, is there an objection to putting shutters on the back of the house? Or at least on some of the windows?
Here.
Yeah.
On the second
floor, I mean.
How about we just did something decorative around the outer two windows, like some kind of a, you know, a framing of it. But on our current house, you know, it's got no shutters at all, the existing house, but it's got like sort of a white, you know, thin half moon, you know, over, and, you know, in the cement or stucco, whatever it is, above the windows. I mean, can we do something, you know, like that here? Maybe it's on the side, but it's.
This windows, they do have banding around.
Or maybe we can make the banding bigger or something like that.
But if you go to the front elevation, sorry, yeah, you'll see very clearly the shutters are there.
Yeah, we have shutters on the top.
Yeah, it's stable, and obviously aligned with the Caribbean. Whereas back, whatever the made is.
Yeah, we can incorporate some shutters on the second floor on the back for sure.
Yeah, so this is.
This house kind of reminds me of the house was on the old school, again, exactly, and we got a lot of, only from the front elevation, because the second floor just kind of reminds me.
Yeah.
I noticed on that second floor, right in the middle, could you go to front elevation? Front elevation, the north elevation. Yeah, on the one on the right, okay, there's no shutters in that middle one, are there?
This one here?
Yeah.
Yeah, the spacing, you know.
I'm just saying, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna make sure my eyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's some of.
Uh-huh. And the glass in that front door, the front door, it just exudes a little bit more contemporary, and we're trying to bridge a
Yeah,
gap.
it's a wood, you know, it's a wood painted, you know, door with, where the bottom third of the door is solid, and then there's glass above. It's not a wood glass.
Not different at all from the second application that you, not the shed application, the other application that was approved earlier today, subject to the color or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same kind of door, so.
It's not a full glass door, it's a solid on the bottom.
My only
All this bottom.
point is, I get the sense that we're just trying to say to you that we need to make this a little bit more. Because we know where the commission is coming from, and it's not gonna.
How about we make that half glass, the top half glass and the bottom half, you know, somehow kind of.
Do what, say?
What if we made that door rather than sort of 3/4, you know, it was all glass to start, right?
Okay.
Or whatever, you know, we tried to do 3/4, if that doesn't work, you know, can we do half the top half glass? Oops.
I do think the commission's going to want to invest in this. feel like it's a little more contemporary to what the town would like to see.
You make the point, it's as close as possible as you believe you can get to, Anglo-Caribbean. However, I'm saying however again, the way I see it, well, it's still far too much towards contemporary. And that's just the state, and that's it, because the display presentation there. If you go through it, you literally have one at the side and one at the other, one at the side. I know it's so difficult to get to that, you explain it, you said that. But I don't think there's enough commonality features. I mean, we've addressed the shutters, but the commission made it very, very clear what our remit is.
Yeah.
And there's two. The one is how, is it Anglo-Caribbean? And is it dissimilar to the surrounding properties? Those are the two things that we have to consider. We as a board approved lots of things. We said, floor area ratio, whatever. Those are the focuses that the commission's given.
Okay. And to that aspect, through the whole process that we went through the board, I think we had 3 meetings for the commission. And every time we had, a comment and we address each one of those comments, we can go one step further, changing the slope on the first floor, adding those mountains on the rear, working some additional shutters on the rear. We do have shutters on the side at the moment, so we can address those things. Going back to the fact that, I said that, yes, we're trying to make it, we're getting as close as possible to Anglo-Caribbean. The other houses, and that's why I want to point it out from the presentation, one of the houses that was approved as an Anglo-Caribbean has coins. That is a Bermuda style house. So those are also as close as possible to an Anglo-Caribbean. So I can make a true Anglo-Caribbean house, but it's not going to meet the requirements of the board either, as far as, front porch and volumes and setbacks and things like that. So.
Oh, thank you. When you look at the front of the house, I mean, and when you don't have, kind of our rendering on up to it, you can go back to this drawing, the sketch you just had, because I think it's similar to the last house that you presented to us, that was north. When you look at that, to me, that doesn't look anything but traditional. And, I wish we had better rendering. I talked to Richard about how we're going to try to fix that. But to me, that looks pretty traditional, so. And now if you go back to the last house that you had, if that's possible, Rebecca, that was here, that's a newer house. And I don't know what the footprints of those houses, my sense is the other one's on a much bigger lot, so, they have more room to do stuff. But I think, other than the coins, it's pretty similar. I mean, there's no shutters around the center part of the house, similar to us. We have shutters on, the entire top level, the bedroom windows up there, there's no shutters there. They have shutters on the bottom, except for, the big picture window where they don't have shutters either. We have shutters across the whole bottom. So, and we're not putting in, roof patios and, that kind of stuff. The house looks pretty traditional. If you put the rendering aside.
This is.
Right, this is just.
It's all.
That's what I'm saying, the rendering is a computer generated, so.
Yeah.
Very.
But the second floor roof line was.
It does, it's awful.
That's kind of my elements from to, but maybe it's not as bad.
I don't think it is.
Doesn't it look like it's like almost flat? I mean,
It looks weird.
How does that compare to?
And that's one of the major features of the way it looks
So,
realistic.
Yeah. But if you compare the two elevation drawings, so it's, apples to apples as far as comparison, it's a traditional house, and that's not.
One other point that, is just yesterday I took a ride around the center of Gulfstream. Just, of course, I didn't have much time, I'm still working, but I went down Gulfstream Drive, and there's a new house going on Gulfstream Drive, which appears to have a pretty flat top roof, but the roof is there so you can see it. And from the road, because it's relatively close to the road, it's hard to even see the top roof of the second floor of that house. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know the measurements, but I don't think our roof is any flatter than that, it's probably less flat, and, I didn't find sort of the way the house was set up, it's just got like sort of all the concrete up and there's that kind of stuff, but the house is there, not ready for shutters or whatever yet. But I don't think it's, that dissimilar from our house, from looking from the road.
I can just say one thing, I seem to me we're focusing on the front of the house where we're probably close.
Okay.
The rear of the house is a wall of glass. To me, that seems to be more problematic.
Yeah, that's what we're proposing there, vertical mullions and add some
Yeah,
shutters.
it's still a wall of glass. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, we meet the 40% maximum requirement. And we want to emphasize, the look of the interposal and.
It looks a lot, sorry to interrupt, it looks an awful lot more than 40%.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The second floor is full.
Yeah, I know the second floor.
I can-
No, I don't doubt you, I don't know, it's that,
Yeah.
you said it's 38.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna.
The calculation goes, here,
Yeah,
in those areas of the roof or the top roof.
Yeah.
No, exactly, just visually.
Map is map. Now we've got the design issue.
Yeah.
I think that's the first floor is a wall of glass. That's.
So what can we do to, we don't want to do this, but, we've been talking about this a long time. I'd like to
Move forward.
drive towards a resolution. Obviously we want to have a view of the canal and, so forth, but, so we said we'd do something around the upper windows, on the 2 bedrooms, to the right or left there on the top. I don't know, maybe we can put in, would it look weird to put in smaller panels there, or maybe if we took a panel out of the master bedroom, or would that make it look off balance? I don't know.
Where's the master
It's on the right.
It's a massive
bedroom? See, that's part of the, to me, what makes it really modern is the windows literally go from the top all the way down to the ground. And that is like why I think it's like a whole flat.
Yeah, and it's an 8-foot, sliding glass door with a 10-foot ceiling.
Right, when you look on the rendering, it looks like literally it comes right to the top, so.
Oh, so make it-
Visually.
Yeah,
it looks
that would be
like
fine.
it's kind of
That helps you to, so I think she's saying, don't go kind of full ceiling on that. So maybe, we do something where, I don't know if they make the windows like that, but make the window not as quite as tall there, so there's a little bit
Well,
more
this is
light
not-
at the top.
What light, I'm sorry?
More light at the top, be more like the stuff.
So it's more, so it's frame.
Yeah, we can raise the roof actually a little bit, and that would give a little bit more of a head on top of the door.
Would you do that on all the windows? We would do that.
I would probably raise all the first floor, again, because the town wants to see one continuous space at a time.
So you raise the floor as opposed to dropping the
I would raise just the pavement. The finished floor is gonna stay the same. We don't wanna make the house look taller. We just wanna, emphasize the roof around here to make it a little bit taller so we can gain that additional header on top of the window.
Well, that would seem to be a move in the right direction.
I think that's a nice.
And the
I'm
chairman,
not an architect, I'm just trying to.
no,
make it
Mr.
work.
Hunt, you said you want some guidance on how to move.
We
want to try and
Yes.
please, so, the height of the windows.
Yeah, you never considered French doors as an option for that rear facing. Others in my own house,
Well, we
as resets of French doors.
Mhm.
Yeah, we prefer sliders. I mean, we do have French, our primary home today is in Connecticut, and we do have some French doors, and they're just more difficult to work with. We find the sliders more convenient. And with this house, we feel like we're gonna wanna be in back of it more often, so going in and out. So, for us, we prefer that.
One reason is, the loggia, going back to the loggia, is only 11 feet. So if I have a double, let's say a 2.8, a 32-inch, French door, by the time I open, I lose, almost 3 feet of that 11 feet. So my usable space of the loggia is pretty much, like 8 feet only. So that's why we went with the slider, and that dictated a little bit to maintain the same. So that we didn't want to have so many different elements as far as egress on the first floor.
I have a question. I noticed on our rendering, and then on this one, the balcony, that is different, but kind of different rendering.
Oh, so, what we're hoping to do, if you guys are okay with it, is, when we were here on August 12th, there was probably an 8,000 square foot house that was approved. There was a lot of conversation on the back deck because it had sort of a massive, expensive, glass patio, probably 16-foot sections of glass across the whole, back of the house. And they showed pictures before with, sort of the vertical traditional like 4-inch railings versus doing it with glass, and asked the committee, well, doesn't it look better? And, who was ever here, because it was a board meeting, wasn't this committee? And the board said, yeah, that does look better, we'll compromise and you can go ahead and use it. And the architect made the case of, technology is advanced, we want to go along if these people want to view, but that'll be a little more of a view.
I need you to get the microphone, please. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm also having trouble with this hearing, so that's why I moved over there. Yeah, so anyway, what we incorporated here is, some smaller glass panels on the back, on the upper little deck there. That's just a, 4-foot deck. It's nothing massive, but we thought that would be a nice feature, coming out of, looking through that bedroom that's in the middle there on the top floor. And these are small bedrooms, they're like, 12 by 12 bedrooms. But that'll give it a bigger look, so that's why we thought that might be nice. And again, there's only Delaware that can see it, like one person in Gulfstream can see this.
So that's really kind of my question, so there's more glass too, because in the other rendering, it's like Chippendale style.
So, Georgia, we would really prefer to do it this way, if it was sort of the deal breaker, yes, we'll do that.
Well, for me, it's a mixture of different things, it's not one thing, it's the overall feel, and I can't. Sorry, it's like a redesign, I don't want to redesign your house, I hate that.
Yeah.
Same, because it is beautiful. And it just means.
Yeah, like I said, if that does it for you, we'll do it,
I don't know how the rest of you do it, I just need to see the picture, especially the back. The changes we talked about.
And I'd also offer, if this is helpful, maybe we could try to make those changes, and if you guys have the time and inclination, I heard there's like an 8 AM meeting on Tuesday, maybe we just come back and show it to you.
Bring up, the location.
Can you do that?
Colors and patterns,
Because depending on what you change, you may or maybe the balcony wouldn't
Yeah.
have to, depending on how traditional it might be.
Okay.
For me, it's hard for us to.
So we'll come back and we'll make the changes to the house that we're.
Well, we're gonna listen for you, so
Oh, yeah.
we should make sure that's very clear what we.
Thank you.
But also we're on record that it is a request, it's not as in,
Yeah.
you do this and it will be approved, and that's not the.
No.
It's just-
Yeah,
we
no,
have to affect that.
I get that.
The other point is, obviously the second focus was, is this dissimilarity, right? Well, we're judging this in terms of dissimilarity. We have to judge the new design, rendering, take that into account there, because we have these two key areas to look at. But obviously, if you're going to change this, a decision about dissimilarity will be assessed again.
Yeah.
Right, so we really want to move this forward, it's a beautiful home.
Yeah.
But at the moment, and this is my theory, it's still not close enough. There aren't the details, it's not as close as possible. To me, it's not close enough to.
Hopefully, if we make the changes that you'll list out, and I'll try to do those between now and Tuesday. And, hopefully at that point, the commission can look at that and feel like it's, close enough.
So coming up to the record, make enough stuff for your. So,
Could I just make, so if we're doing this on Tuesday, you have a nice long weekend. It's a normal weekend. I would suggest that you drive through.
Yeah.
Maybe we can show all the pictures and renderings and the best way to do it is to look at, the houses that are in there.
Okay.
530 Old School is a great sample.
And
We can support
We
that.
told you about the pushback.
No, we did, and that's why we're having to be told very, super.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a, you know, it's a very quiet neighborhood. There's like zero traffic, basically. Yeah.
5 cars going through.
And, you know, I know I said this earlier, but I don't think, you know, anybody in the neighborhood, you know, would not feel fine about this house being in their neighborhood. They probably view it as, you know, a nice house in the neighborhood.
We have not received any comment.
Okay, thank you.
You know, so.
So can we give clear guidance in terms of what we'd like you to consider? Obviously, shutters. Well, sorry, yes.
I think the only thing is, you know, I hate to put you under this pressure to do everything by Tuesday and then have you come back and have us come up and say, oh, well, it's too contemporary again, you know, because, you know, that's harassing, frankly, you know, but, because the commission was very strong in their feeling that it was too contemporary. I'm not exactly sure what is going to make the commission feel that it is now, you know, in the style that you are saying it's going to be in. And I almost wish I had more input from the commission of what to do, because, you know, I mean, from the front of the house and what you've done, you know, it looks okay to me.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do have some problems with the back of the house, with the glass, the amount of glass and the lack of shutters, only because, you know, I mean, your actual house looks across at another house. You sort of have to look up to the right to see that big new condominium that's going there. But still, I mean, you know, you're going to have a very open bedroom with, you know, so you're going to need some kind of not shuttering.
Yes,
but,
yes, you know, clearly we will. And Curtis would, I mean, we're gonna try to address that.
Yeah, but I just I don't want to have you do a whole lot of work and then not have it, you know, be something that we feel comfortable with.
So totally, we
Yeah.
echo that feeling. At the same time, you know, at the same time, we want to move forward.
Yeah,
It's been a long time. You know, like I said earlier, during, I think it was July, we had you know, the architect committee, you know, I think voted 2-1 in favor. You know, so we weren't that far off. You know, and I think the problem is the renderings that we have people center on those, and I don't think they're, you know, representative. I hate them, and I think they're odd, and I don't think that was what it really looks like, and it does accentuate it. It makes it look, even by the it makes it look, you know, too contemporary. You know, so we would agree with you on that. So what we would like to do is, you know, what we're talking about, try to come back for the 8 o'clock meeting, and we're happy to put in the work, because we want to try to move it forward. And for some reason, we feel like it doesn't make sense to come to you, we'll just cancel and we'll give you your time back.
Well, I ended up, you know, I drove down there because I was concerned, and I was especially concerned with all the comments from the commission. And, you know, and I saw the house that is presently there, which you know, is, you know, sort of, you know, a difficult situation right now. But, you know, we are not allowed to walk onto the property.
You have my permission to walk on the
Okay.
property. I'm the only one there.
Exactly.
If you want to walk there any time of day, don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
I wanted to have the opportunity of walking
Sure.
around and seeing, because I noticed the house right as you're looking at your house, to the right of your house.
To the east?
To the west.
To the west, yes.
And it has that huge window that I looked at that and I thought, wow, that doesn't look like.
Well, and you know, and Curtis, that's absolutely right.
Well, that was before we had all these codes.
Yeah, but, you know, so, and you know, you seem very accommodating and I'd love to try to help you.
Thank you.
Yeah, all of us. I mean, we want to move this out.
Right, you have.
No, and that sounds like Mr. Rose might have already watched the video of that town commission meeting. You haven't, I would.
I haven't watched that, but I do want to watch that and meet over the weekend and see.
I wish I had been here for that.
You weren't at the commission meeting?
No. But also, I do think these renderings are a big problem. And, because I do think when you look at the black and white of it, in the drawings, you find a much more traditional. I agree with you on the house, and we're gonna do something about that.
By the way, you can watch the commission meeting on the internet.
I don't know that,
Okay.
I did read it. I read it in, the thing that was posted, so I got the gist.
Just to get to your point about that first meeting with the commission of July the 8th, they made it very clear that they see it as contemporary, they want it more.
Yes.
In, but they asked for shutters to the point, what does the commission want? They asked for shutters, adding vertical mullions on the windows, breaking up the verticality of the stair tower, and adding a wood element to the glass front door.
Yeah, and then we're doing all that.
Yes, and we comply with it, that's right. So the first meeting was the one that they said was temporary, but after that we have complied and we have to.
I'm sorry, what was it, breaking up the?
The front door.
Yeah, the front door. It used to be all glass, and so we added, wood element and.
No. It's breaking up the verticality of the stair tower. I
Yeah.
don't know that we addressed breaking up the verticality.
Yeah, we added this massive roof.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So it's not.
I was wondering. Okay.
The other sketch of the most recent house, that was that was just a tower.
Sorry. Thank you.
So yeah, we added all the comments from that original meeting when they said it was modern. So, yeah.
One more question, I'm sorry.
No,
On the sketch, sorry, I can't,
that's okay, I can hear you.
on the front door, the glass is divided.
Mhm, yeah.
Door there,
Yeah.
and these renderings, it's not, it's just.
It's also divided, but
See it?
it's depending on the view and that's what I'm saying. The rendering is a computer generated graphic.
It would have the
Below.
one on the door.
But yeah, that is the shape of the door. That is it.
That really helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to point to the elevation compared to the other elevation, because this shows, basically all the detailing that we added on the walls, and on the windows, and the vertical and the horizontal mullions and shutters and everything.
Right, so can we be in agreement in terms of what we're requesting, so we want to be very clear, we don't want to waste time.
Thank you.
Very clearly what we're requesting for, the meeting on the 1st of November. Shutting on the back, addressing the window, areas, we've talked about.
So are we gonna make a motion to table this until?
What's been agreed?
With the accommodation that if you can't get everything together by Tuesday.
Yeah.
So there's roof pitch on
You said the roof pitch was addressed, it was just a rendering which was.
Yes,
in
yeah.
If I may, just before you make the motion, because like you mentioned before, this is where we're looking at this style, and I don't want to come to the board and see if we can get some guidance, or your opinion or your perception of this. If we make all these changes, is this going to mean that we can design a house or build a house like this, or we're going to get into the issue of the similarity of the design and the neighborhood?
That's part of the.
Because that's we put all the mullions and then, but the sign is still.
That's the challenge, we have two key issues to address. One was the architectural style,
Mhm.
and the other is the similarity. At the moment, there's the similarity between what we presented here and the airport. So we can't really address that, but we can't put in there and say, by the way, if you come back with this design, we'll table the similarity.
Exactly.
Don't we have to look at that all together,
Yes,
as a package, so
Yeah.
you can't really separate one from the
Exactly.
other.
We can't address that dissimilarity question.
Okay.
Right, until we actually see what we're going to what your final applications to us.
But is the board considering, because angle corridor, there's no angle corridor 250 feet around this area. So if we take that code to the rule, yes, we cannot build this design house. That is mathematically speaking,
So,
looking at.
Yeah, we have to address that dissimilarity question
when we see what the is. So there is a possibility that can be.
What your question is, the answer is just because there's not an Anglo-Caribbean house, we could say it's too dissimilar, or is it just this, the style of Anglo-Caribbean? That's-
Right. Brand new would be the style. You can build, you know, we have preferred architectural styles within each zoning district, and this is one. And they can absolutely build this style house on this lot. I mean, we have excessive similarity, we have excessive dissimilarity. Similarity, like you wouldn't want two Spanish Mediterraneans that both meet the code perfectly looking identical next to each other, right? So that would be prohibited under the code. They could have the same architectural style, but different features. Same thing with this, dissimilar. If it's a traditional architectural style that's permitted in the code, it's not too modern, it fits within the criteria, fits within the context of the neighborhood, then you know, you can kind of do that as well.
And I'll let the attorney correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't want to get too stuck on, oh, it's dissimilar because it's not the same architecture. It's not labeled as the same architecture. It's got to be what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so, because, I mean, they're describing some of the houses that we would describe as Gulfstream and you as a West Indies. And so I can't get too hung up on that. I mean, it's what it looks like. I mean, just picture that house there, and as you drive through that neighborhood, that's really similar.
The houses in that neighborhood are quite eclectic.
Yes.
And so I tend to feel that, if this is the architectural style that fits our description of the architectural style that is being built in, then it doesn't make a lot of difference whether it's next to a Spanish house or a Gulfstream Bermuda house. It's permitted. That's the way I'm looking at it. Am I wrong?
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joseph. So with that, is that clear what you're being requested to bring?
Yes, yes.
Make that very clear.
Yeah.
And the context of that meeting. In terms.
Yes,
And
when you notice it, it's.
When in doubt, do more.
Yeah.
You understand where
It's
I'm
gonna be a school house.
As far as we can.
So I think that the two things you noted, Malcolm, were, I think they're both on back, doing the, space between the roof and the sliders.
Yes.
And then also, shutters on the top bedroom windows.
Yeah, so
And
One great one to make one.
I just want to remind you that they're not suggesting to change the roof pitch on the 412. That's 5 or 6.
Well, but the roof, even though it is 412 rather than 512, which was recommended by the commission, 412 does pass muster for our building criteria.
It does meet the code.
And Anglo-Caribbean, that's what we asked for.
Yeah.
4 and 12 and 8 and 12. That's the Anglo-Caribbean.
it is shallow, but it is.
It's on the minimum side, but.
That's something that I don't really like, the pitch, and I think it should be increased, quite frankly.
And I believe one of the commissioners made a point about that.
It's a very critical part of the roof in how the house and the massing. And I think you should very much consider increasing that pitch.
The one that was that it looked, made that have the roof look too flat.
Too flat, that's what happened over on Old School. I know, and these renderings make it even look even. Rendering are off, I know, but so the pitch, in my opinion, is something that really needs to be, just as far, well, we might even consider making a change to the book, because this is coming up more and more.
Robert, is the pitch on that new house in Gulfstream Drive that's going up? What is the pitch on that top roof?
I know.
We're not considering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any problems with the height of the house if we?
No.
No? Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, we are going to the maximum.
We don't lose inside space?
No.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
You'll like the look.
I'm fine.
Joe, you're being very intelligent.
I'm trying. Yeah, the only thing is we have to adjust some of those by basically because, we're going to add another 6 inches to to the beam and then raising the slope, we need to, create enough space between the window, the bottom of the window, to put the banding, to put this flashing, because otherwise your flashing is inside the band and it looks off.
No, sure.
So that's why, we need to work that out.
So, yeah, you've got space. So
Okay, that's it. Yeah, we're not change.
Okay, so we add that to the list as well. 3 things: shutters, glass, and the roof pitch.
Yeah.
Anything else?
The back glass we talked about.
Vertical.
Yeah, so we don't,
Yeah.
with the vertical.
And what did we conclude on the front door?
Yeah, half,
We're gonna go.
half
That's exactly what they wanted. Okay. Who's going to go for this one?
Okay. I'll make a motion that we table this discussion until a special meeting, which is to be held on Tuesday, the whatever that date,
November
31st.
November 1st.
November 1st, and that we address these new changes that are going to be made at that point in time in hopes that we can move forward.
Yes, great, okay. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Dockery,
Yes.
Chairman Martin.
Yes. Thank you for your understanding and your
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the guidance.
Have a good one. Now, maybe I just wanted to ask, are we okay with the special exception? Again, it's under 100 square feet. Can we provide some insight there? Are we gonna ask that they reduce it, or are we okay as submitted? I didn't want to jump into that when we were talking
The
about.
extra 96
square feet. So,
90 square feet.
That's on the outside and those terraces or whatever.
Correct, so with.
I am okay.
I'm okay with it.
I'll make a motion that we approve the.
No, well, so it would be deferred, I just want to give them some
Yeah.
guys, so if you're okay with it, and on Tuesday's meeting, that's the same. Thank you very much, just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you. Are there any other items myself? I mean, I just have I think that the ARPB did an excellent job, so we had some difficult applications that have come back and forth from the commission. I commend, Mr. Green, who is, I think, certainly the junior member by quite a long number of years with these 4 titans of the ARPB on our panel. So when we have maybe some more people here that are newer, I did want to just go over just some very basics of applying the code, but also ex parte communication, what our policy is, exactly what ex parte communication is. Maybe even just a little bit on sunshine law and maybe public records, just so our new members kind of have an understanding. I don't think that Rob Canfield, and certainly Mr. Green, I've talked to them both, and I'm sure we can all use a little bit of refresher. So.
Does Michael have to do that exciting video we all have to watch?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, of course. Right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
So next meeting, or maybe when we have a full board with some of our newer members, I just want to do that, so just, bring a fellow,
Yeah, could you add to that discussion, maybe just a little primer on, special exception and variance? That's for all of us.
Yeah. With regard to special exceptions, I am sort of, we've been going through this for so many years that I'm getting more of a feeling personally that special exceptions should be accorded to houses of a smaller nature that, such as this house is a 3,000 odd square foot house. It's not a gargantuan house. It's on a smaller piece of property. But I think that we might look at the idea of curtailing special exceptions to smaller properties that need them for accommodation of what they're trying to do, as opposed to just giving builders and developers the open stance of, well, I can always get an extra 300 feet.
No, absolutely. So I have an internal battle every time Commissioner Orthwein talks about special exception.
special exceptions, because she's really only talking about the one that the entire commission and what we're talking about, which is actually 300 square feet. There are a number of very unique special exceptions that are only applicable to certain properties and areas. Like, if, for example, Paul Lyon's daughter, the house on County Road, number of special exceptions due to the lot size specifically.
Exactly.
And that, you know, for example, no matter how small your lot gets, you can always have a minimum of 2,500 square feet of FAR. So that is like a minimum that's built into the code, special exception that no matter how small your lot is, this is the minimum size house that you're able to build. Same thing goes with setbacks. If your lot is extremely shallow, things like that, there are specific accommodations. The issue that we have with the 300 square feet is every single property in the entire town can always ask for it. Now, there are criteria in there that specifically relate to massing. You can't make it look more massive. It has to add unique architectural features. That's why I asked Mr. Brummer to talk a little bit about, okay, well, what are we doing with this extra 97 square feet? Oh, we'll have a covered area in the front, so it adds architectural style. They have an open area in the rear. You know, Rita Taylor spoke to me about that special exception on a number of times and always favored it because it requires you to have open areas in your house. And as a compromise to that, you have to sacrifice that air conditioned space, right? So sure, you're still gonna have your 2-car garage, which is required, and that's not technically your air conditioned space. So that eats into your floor area ratio. You have any covered area, covered patios, porches, balconies, that eats into your floor area ratio. And then you have, you know, your air conditioned space. So if you're asking for 300 square feet and you're permitted under the code 4,000 square foot FAR, and you ask for 4,300 square feet, you lose 600 square feet of potentially air conditioned space under that 4,000. So now you only have 3,400 that you're playing with instead of the full 4,000. So her thinking was it requires you to have all this extra open area that you can have unique architectural designs for. So that's definitely something that Mr. Ames mentioned, but I come in here, I've designed houses a lot before. No one likes the 300 square foot special exception anymore. That's absolutely true. And I think that Mr. Roach has absolutely hit the nail on the head. We have a smaller house with the pagodas. We're okay with only 97 square feet. It's a smaller lot. It's only 97 square feet. We have a huge lot over in place off Slade, 7,000 square foot house. It's almost a double lot. It just barely was small enough so it wouldn't be subdivided. And then they want an extra 300 square feet. And, you know, that's something, no, you know, from a policy and interpreting the code, the commission's decided no, very much. It's really relative to the size. So that's something that I want to talk to the commission a little bit about. But really, when we talk about special exceptions and their applicability and how we should apply them, that's the one that we're talking about. It's really just that specific one. Because there's a lot of, you know, very different special exception criteria that only fit with certain things. This is the one that everyone wants. It's just like,
This is when they give up 300 and get 100 outside.
right, so
Rather than 3 to 1.
you can, right, so you can get up to 300, but for every 1 foot over that, you sacrifice 2 underneath your permitted to have to be open.
Should, okay.
Right, so it's a 2 to 1, so they asked for about 100, so you're gonna have to give up 200 square feet of allowed. That's enclosed.
Shoot. Thank you, Chair. With that, any items by board members?
I just wanted to go back to what, so talking.
Sorry.
You were saying about going over certain things. I think it would be helpful for all of us also to go over just the basics of the Airbnb, just because of it's, you know, the criteria doesn't necessarily mean we have to go forward, and we don't think it's here. Because sometimes I get bogged down in little details of numbers, and, you know, bronze windows or prohibited or whatever.
Right.
And you need to take a step back and look at the house. Is it a house that belongs in Gulfstream? Because like the one on Old School Road, I mean, you can see that from the rest of my life. You know what I mean? And I just, sometimes I forget that. I need a refresher course on, it's very subjective. We're not just here doing, you guys do most of the work, but the rules.
Yeah.
And I know the commission's really, going down now, so which I'm happy about.
No, that's absolutely right. So staff will look at all like the numbers for setbacks and floor area ratio and all of that. That's very much the numbers. And we won't put anything to you without a variance that's asking for anything more, right? When it comes to aesthetics, I think you see Rebecca put together a really nice presentation
By the
about.
way, that was impressive.
Thanks.
And I think we're gonna try to do more of that to support the board in making their decisions, and in making decisions that are also supported by the commission. Because if it does look too modern, that's something that, maybe staff, it falls through the cracks, because we are really looking at every single setback. Do we need to have shutters on it? What's the architectural style? Does it meet these criteria? What's the floor area ratio? What's the eave height? Because all of that is extremely important. But then in the end, you do get a product that maybe aesthetically is not desirable. And we want to make sure that we support you in making decisions to recommend them out or to modify the application.
Yeah, and he's right, the town commission, I believe is looking to the staff as well as the ARPB to be more before it gets to the town commission. And so that you're gonna be seeing, as he said, the staff's gonna be a little more aggressive with us in our, there you go. Better work. And it begins with the pre-application process, from the very beginning. And I'll remind everybody, when they first came to us, we opened it up, first thing I said, this is a contemporary house. So that's why we've been spending the last 6 months trying to make it not a contemporary house.
So we're gonna have to rename Malcolm the Hammer.
Let me push into it, but then watch out. Okay, any items from board members other than the ones we discussed?
No, I might add, I think this was a good discussion and maybe a little work, a little get together for workshop, maybe for an hour or two. And excellent idea. I would appreciate, I've been on this thing 8-10 years, you kind of forget. Right.
When do I vote?
So we would be open to sit down for a workshop for an hour or two during the.
We should always be up to date.
I think so.
And so we're on the same page as well. Because we do have a responsibility. These people invest an awful lot of money into applying to us in time. We need to give them our best effort. We can walk away saying, we did our very best.
So what we'll try to do, we'll never call you in unnecessarily. We burden you with the time that you donate, and we're so appreciative of. So if we don't have any applications, we'll certainly not have a meeting just that, but maybe if we have a light meeting, I would be happy to have something prepared at that time. So if it's gonna be a 20-minute meeting, we can make it an hour-long meeting instead and cover some of the stuff.
With that, what's the agenda look like for the next?
It's very light, well,
As
it's not the special meeting, but for November, yes.
Okay, thanks.
What's your definition?
Nothing right now.
And when we next, what is this, next Tuesday or? Next Tuesday, 8 o'clock.
I'll send you a reminder.
Oh, okay. So, two quick ones. Public, that's negative. And what I would like to do is, Rebecca, on record, thank you for all the work.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome.
And Renee, thank you for flying solo and keeping us in check. Thank you very much for that. And with that, is no more business. Back to you again.
Renee.
Your first real one.